Hi guys, today I want to talk about something that 22.9% of people in the UK deal with, something that 500 million people around the world deal with, and something I never dealt with until I went to China, and even then it took me about 4 years to realize that I have this problem. Let's talk about you and your hay fever. So first I start off with hay fever. What does it mean? The medical term for hay fever is allergic rhinitis. So this is actually made up of 3 different words that mean different things. Allergy. So when we're talking about allergies, this is having a very sensitive immune system. It's too sensitive, it's too strong that anything it comes across, it reacts to it. And allergies have been getting worse over the past 20 years. And it's been thought this is because as children, our immune systems are not developing properly. We're not going outside, we're not playing around in the dirt or licking handrails or whatever it is. So our immune system is not getting exposed to many things and getting used to them. So when we do get exposed to these things later on in life, our immune system is too sensitive to them. The second word is rhinitis. So first one is rhine. So this is a Greek word that means nose. Rhinoplasty. Rhine is nose. Plasty is plastic surgery. That's a nose job. And rhinoceros, that's where it comes from. Rhinoceros means horned nose. So rhine usually has to do with the nose. Itis is a suffix used for inflammation. So usually it's used in conjunction with a part of the body. So we talk about colitis. Col is the colon. Itis, inflammation, inflammation of the colon. Appendicitis, the appendix. Itis, inflammation, inflammation of the appendix. Rhinitis, nose, inflammation, inflammation of the nose. So allergic rhinitis is inflammation of the nose caused by allergies. So nobody is actually born allergic to anything. You have to first be sensitized to the thing you're allergic to. This means that when you first come into contact with a thing, you're not going to have any allergies towards it, but your immune system is going to detect it, and it's going to be like, oh, we don't like this, this is not a good thing, let's remember this thing, and the next time it comes, we're going to try and kill it, we're going to try and attack it. So hay fever is usually, most people, it's because they're allergic to, let's say, tree pollen or grass pollen, usually around summertime or autumn time. It's also similar to people who are allergic to dust, or people who are allergic to like animal fur, like cat dander or dog fur. So when it comes to the first time you come into contact to something you might be allergic to, it's a whole circus of cells and chemicals, sometimes hormones. There's lots of different things that come into making you sensitive to, let's say, tree pollen. But the main cells I'm going to talk about are T cells, B cells, and mast cells. T cells are the first ones to kind of get an alert that something's going on, and then they set off a bunch of chemicals and other cells, and then they activate B cells. B cells are important because they produce something called antibodies. When we talk about somebody being immune to something, it means that they have antibodies to that very specific thing. Once your body is exposed to some type of bacteria or virus, or in this case tree pollen, your body will always remember the thing you've been exposed to, and it will produce antibodies. And if you're ever exposed to them again, it's the antibodies that will detect it. And these antibodies are stuck to these cells called mast cells. So I think of mast cells like a bag of chemicals. It's just filled with all different sorts of chemicals, but it's kept in a bag, and you have these antibodies stuck around them. So let's say you get some tree pollen into your system. The antibody is going to detect that tree pollen, and the mast cells releases all these chemicals into your bloodstream. The main chemicals mast cells release are histamine and leukotrienes. There are other chemicals, but we're just going to focus on these 2 today, because these 2 are the ones that cause you to have all the signs and symptoms of an allergy. So if we're talking about histamine, histamine is what starts, it makes you itchy, maybe around the nose or around the eyes, and also you start to sneeze. That's histamine. So another thing it does is it expands your blood vessels. So your blood vessels are tubes, and they have this ability of being small and being big. So histamine makes them get bigger, but also it makes them have spaces in between the cells. So this is a normal thing. This is something that our body needs, because sometimes you need things that are inside your blood vessels to come outside and maybe fight off an infection. So you have this fluid coming out of your blood vessels. So this is why when some people get allergic reactions, they get puffy lips. Some people get puffy eyes. Some people, the whole face gets puffy. The role of leukotriene is recruit a whole bunch of other cells that are going to fight off the bad guys. I think of this like calling out to the troops. It's like, we need extra help. There's some bad guys, we need you to take care of them. So you get a rush of all these cells that come to that area that there's a problem at. So the problem with this is you have the blood vessels, they've expanded, and now you're just filling it with all this extra blood and all these extra blood cells. This is why you get stuffy. You get a stuffy nose, you can't breathe through it, because there's just all this extra stuff going on in there. So a lot of the signs and symptoms come from histamine and leukotriene. So I never had hay fever growing up. It wasn't something I dealt with. And then I moved to China, and it took me about 4 years to realize that I have allergies to these trees that they have in my city, in Nanjing. So they have these big, beautiful trees everywhere. But during summertime, they shed pollen everywhere. The first year, I didn't have any issues. The second year, I probably didn't take much notice. By the third year, I remember having a really stuffy nose and being really itchy, and I thought maybe it was a cold. And then by fourth year, it happened again. I was like, I can see a pattern here. So I took some medicine, and it went away, and I was like, oh, guess I have hay fever now. And in my blood system now, I have antibodies that are very specific to the tree pollens in Nanjing, China. So when it comes to treating hay fever, you have to look back at the mechanism that caused it to happen. You have antihistamines. Anti means against histamine. So if you can stop any histamines from working, you're not getting the signs and symptoms, you're not getting the puffiness or the itchiness or the sneezing. You also have leukotriene antagonist. Antagonist means to work against. So it stops the leukotriene from causing the signs and symptoms. And the treatment I actually didn't know about is immunotherapy. And this is kind of like a newish treatment, because in some countries like Australia, New Zealand, it's actually not treatment for the public. It's still in clinical trials. So they're still working out how they can make this into a type of treatment. So it works by regulating your immune system. That means since the immune system is too sensitive, it tries to desensitize your immune system, so it makes it less sensitive to the things that you're allergic to. They do this by exposing your immune system to the thing you're allergic to. So I'm allergic to the tree pollen in Nanjing, so they take the tree pollen and they find the thing I'm allergic to, and they put it in my system, and they do that in two ways. There's an allergy shot, so they give me an injection of the thing, and I become less sensitive to it. Another way is to take drops or tablets which I put under my tongue, and starting off with small concentrations, and they observe you to see if you're going to have an allergic reaction or if your immune system is going to react to it. And if it doesn't, they increase the concentration again. This takes about 3 to 5 years, so it takes a long time for you to become desensitized to the thing you're allergic to. This does not mean that if you're allergic to something that you should expose yourself to it. This is something that needs to be done by your doctor, and it's not everything that this works for. So there's only a few specific things like dust and tree pollen and grass pollen that's immunotherapy works for. Well, that's it. That's all I've got for hay fever. Well, actually I do have more, but I don't want to bore you. But I hope you've learned something new, and to all my fellow hay fever sufferers, stay strong, keep your immune system strong, go out, play in the dirt. That's not medical advice, just stay strong, guys. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.